What's up YouTube, this is Petrol Enthusiast coming back at you again with a update on my 2005 RX8 GT. I just recently bought some new rims for her. The size is 18 by 9.5 and the old ones that I have, the XXR 526 are 18 by 9s and they cleared pretty good. I mean, I ran them for a while and I didn't have no issues with rubbing or the tires hitting the frame or anything. But recently I did some test fitting on the new rims and the rears are rubbing real bad. So I really didn't want to do this, but I had no choice where I had to modify the back part of my RX8 where I cut a lot of the plastic out. As you can see here, I just took a Dremel blade that I got from Harbor and Freight and started drilling in the areas where they were rubbing real hard. There's a significant hole here. I'm planning to put like a rubber tarp right there where it doesn't scrape or anything, where it doesn't, it doesn't seem like it leads anywhere except for the back. It's just like a guard, but I don't like that hole there, so I'm probably going to put something there to cover up the hole. And I did something that I thought I would never have to do. I rolled my fenders as well because they were rubbing when I was trying to get out of my driveway. So I will show the technique on how I did that. But as you can see, I mean, I did it without a heat gun and just gentle force to the body where you don't see any type of breakage on the paint or anything. I mean, it's just my fingerprints and stuff, but I'll show that technique in part 2 in my next clip. I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, part 2 of fitment on my 2005 RX8 GT. I just completed one side on removing some of the rear wheel housing, and the only thing right now what's hitting the new tire is this area right here. So what I plan to do is cut this and hit this with a hammer and point it, deflect it up so it doesn't, ride the rim when it hits curbs or when I go up a curb. I believe this is okay right here, so I'm going to leave the fitting there, but this protruding piece needs to go and this piece of metal needs to be deflected up. And this portion right here, I'm gonna, bang gently and just deflect it more outward, so just in case it doesn't hit that part of the rim. So I will show you a completed side. So this side on the driver's side is done, and hopefully this will fix the rubbing. Here you see from the other video I already cut it out and already beveled this more outward so it doesn't, hit the tire. I am gonna numb this down right here. It's a little too sharp, but as you can see here, I shaved that one piece of plastic off and then gently tap this upward to the point where it's not going to rub the tire. Now you're going to have to do this if you're going to be putting on 225 by let me go over here real quick and see. It's 18 9.5 rim with a 225 45. Yeah, because you're going to be rubbing on the outer edge here, and you don't want to do that. That's the smallest tire you could go in the rear, from what I checked, and from my experience with running with these tires. You could run them in the front, but you're gonna have to raise your car if you're gonna be running all 4 tires with the same plat setup. I'm gonna go staggered. I'm gonna go 225 by 40 in the front, so a little bit more narrow, and an offset type of setup. So the tools that I was using to get this complete, you know, mid-size hammer, and you're gonna need one of these Dremel tools. You can pick it up at Harbor and Freight for about 15 bucks. Not too bad. And then they'll have a bunch of attachments like this sander piece right here, which is pretty good. I mean, it works out to bevel out a lot of the pieces that need to be, you know, rounded and not too sharp. So I'm gonna get started on this side, and the next part will be the finished product. So when we remove this one piece of plastic, there's this this nub that snaps on to the area where I cut. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make this flush and cut it. The opposite side is the same thing. I just didn't show it, but here I will. So now what I'm going to do is take the saw attachment off and put the sanding attachment on. Make sure you use safety glasses when you're drilling, sanding, and sawing, to make sure you don't get anything in your eyes. So right there, nice and flush. And I'm going to go over this one more time just to make sure that everything's all nice and smooth. So right there, it's pretty smooth. This was the only area I was concerned with that was hitting the tire when I got out of my driveway, and now I mediate it with a hammer. You don't have to hit it too hard. You just have to tap it to the point where it's going to be pointed up, like where I rolled my fenders here. So I just want to give it just a little bit more. Just in case. And now this area should be clear for the tire when I hit like a real steep curb and my suspension rocks up and down like a seesaw. I should be able to clear this area now, since this area is very concaved up. So we'll attach the rims and go from there. After 1, 2, 3 trials, I finally got the fitment situated. I had to cut a lot from the rear fender because of the 18.95 rim and the 22x4.5 wheels that I was going for. It's got a little stretch to it, but right now, like when I get out of my driveway, it doesn't rub. Only my front fender because it's hella low. But I'm gonna show how like low it gets to a certain point to when I back up, you'll see like the tire just tucks and it's nice and flush. So if you are going to a bigger rim, bigger than 18.9, if you're just going to go 0.5, you're going to have this issue because of that little poke that's about a ½ an inch. Like I did with this setup of rims and tires, I went 22x45 in the rear, and then in the front I went 225/40 in the front. So it's an offset, but I wanted the front to be concave a little, you know, like my original setup that I had. But I'm glad it took about a day and a half to do, but a lot of cutting and a lot of trial and error. But that's when you're gonna, you know, that's what happens when you go through a custom build, you know, an RX8 or any type of platform that you're gonna do and like add big rims and not try to wide body. I decided that I'm not gonna wide body this. I'm gonna keep it, you know, the way it is. And I think with this this setup that I have with the gold rims and the tires, I mean, I didn't even have to you know, modify anything except roll the fenders and cut, roll the rear fenders and cut part of the under part of the wheel well, and it was just plastic that wasn't doing much, I mean, in the rear. So I'm pretty happy with it. I just did my first trial run, test run, and just backing out, you know, of my own driveway, which is pretty steep, and no rubbing at all, and I'm super happy. And the tire center just called me up and told me my front set of tires is ready. So I'm about to pick those up and see the final look of this in the sun. So stay tuned. Be right back.